What's up everyone, I'm Toast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing two Pokemon with arguably the rarest typing in the game based on how easy these Pokemon are to obtain, and they are Galarian Zapdos and Hawlucha, which both have the fighting and flying typing. This is actually a really cool typing because fighting does cover a lot of the weaknesses that normal flying types will have, as you can hit for super effective damage up against ice types, steel types and rock type Pokemon, so they can potentially core break a lot of teams. The unfortunate thing is that they do lose to what I would consider the four most common Pokemon in the current Open Great League meta: Lanturn, Noctowl, Medicham and Trevenant, so it's nearly impossible to run something in the lead to cover all those Pokemon. Initially I ran Dedenne as it could beat Noctowl, Medicham and Lanturn, but it would also struggle up against Trevenant. Eventually I do end up switching it out for a much spicier Spinda, but obviously it doesn't do too well up against Medicham, so there's definitely some drawbacks there. But with that being said, let's get into the question of the day. What would you consider to be the best dual typing that you don't see very often in the Great League? Maybe it's like this case where the two Pokemon are incredibly rare, or maybe the Pokemon with this dual typing unfortunately just don't have very good moves. Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, so going into the first battle, we lead into a Shadow Swampert, gonna swap instantly into Hawlucha. The opponent responds with Wall Rain, and we will make it to the Flying Press on the CMP tie with this Shadow Wall Rain, and we do grab a shield. So unfortunately they will outpace us to the next charge move, so I will let Icicle Spear go through. It does one-shot Hawlucha, but that's fine. We've got a shield advantage, we'll happily take that. And we're gonna come in with the Dedenne here. The opponent doesn't farm to an Earthquake, so I can overfarm quite a lot here. I'm actually going to farm and throw on the CMP tie with the next Icicle Spear, and this will be enough damage to take out the Shadow Wall Rain. Gonna instantly swap into my Galarian Zapdos. As soon as Swampert comes back in, the opponent is choosing to stay in here, so Galarian Zapdos might be very strong up against whatever their Pokemon is in the back. So the opponent gonna go for a second Hydro Cannon, and at this point I'm pretty sure I will be able to fully counter farm them down. The opponent recognizes that and they swap into Shadow Machamp. You haven't seen that Pokemon very often in the meta these days, but unfortunately for them, double close combat will be enough to grab a shield and then one-shot the Machamp, and then we are still able to counter, farm down the Swampert and take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game we see a very spicy Weepinbell. Luckily they are running Bullet Seed there, but unfortunately we swap into Hawlucha. We're met with Altaria, and Altaria is another Pokemon that both these fighting and flying Pokemon do really struggle against, so gonna let this move go through. We did at least grab an early shield, and that's one of the good things about Hawlucha, is that some people might not be too familiar with the kind of moves it can run, because it is obviously a regional Pokemon. We go for the play rough, and we do take out the Altaria. We swap into our Galarian Zapdos, gonna shield probably a Sludge Bomb, and it is a Sludge Bomb. They now swap into Vigoroth, and this is a really good matchup for Galarian Zapdos, so I will let one move go through, gonna shield the second charge move, and I'm gonna come out of this matchup with 100 energy, so it's basically just a baiting game. Or does my opponent want to call the close combat here? We're going to go for the bait. We go for the close combat and the opponent shields it up, meaning I can now go for the Brave Bird, and Brave Bird will easily one-shot the Weepinbell, and we take that game. So if you are wondering how I do have a Hawlucha, I have a friend of a friend who is a pilot, and they were in Mexico pretty soon after Hawlucha did release, and then they were recently back in London, so my friend did the trade for me and I was able to obtain this Hawlucha. But yeah, into this match we're seeing a Noctowl countering us, and the opponent overfarms, allowing me to get to a second Flying Press as they get to a Sky Attack, so that's amazing for me. We actually grab a shield advantage with our fighting type up against a flying type, so that's great. We're now going to come in with the Dedenne, and we're going to try and go for the farm down. Going to have to tank at least one Shadow Ball, but I'm hoping Thunder Shocks will do enough to take them out here. But they get to another charge move. I'm just fingers crossed it's a Sky Attack. It's a Sky Attack. Yes, it is a Sky Attack, and we still get the farm down. Gonna go for that play rough straight away. Might as well throw it into the Shadow Swampert. The opponent lets it go through. It does massive damage, and I'm able to get the counter through to take out this Shadow Swampert. And now it depends what they've got in the back. It's a Shadow Alolan Ninetales, unfortunately, and we're not going to be able to take this game here. Gonna shield up, but they will get to the second Weather Ball as we get to the back-to-back close combats, but they don't throw. They don't throw for whatever reason. We go for the first one, we grab a shield, and the second close combat will easily take out the Ninetales. And the opponent just basically handed me a win there. I'm not really sure why they did that. Maybe they just underestimated the energy I had, but I'm able to take that game, so I'm not going to complain. But into this game, the opponent swaps and catches the Flying Press bait onto their Medicham, so that is unfortunate. I was expecting Victory Bell will definitely shield there, so that's why I went for the bait. But here we go for the Aerial Ace. It does connect, but it doesn't quite take them out there, so that bait is proving to be very costly here, as I could have taken out this Medicham before they got to the charge move there. So yeah, very unfortunate, but I guess that's what I deserve for baiting up against a Victory Bell. But here I'm going to come in with my Dedenne, as I'm expecting it's probably Bastiodon in the back, right? So gonna let this move go through. They go for the Acid Spray bait, and now we can come in with the Zapdos, and it is Bastiodon in the back. And you're gonna see that these smackdowns are pretty much doing as much damage as my counters. It's actually not as dominant as a matchup as you might think it would be, but we do barely get the counter farm down, and we're also able to counter farm down Victory Bell and take that game. And now into the final battle of this first set, we lead into a defense form Deoxys, another Pokemon that my backline really doesn't want to see, but we do resist the counters on our Dedenne here. We go straight for a play rough, and it does get them into the yellow health already. The opponent going to go for a charge move here, and they go for a Psycho Boost. A second Psycho Boost won't quite take us out now because they have double debuff their attack. We go for a Discharge that also barely doesn't take them out either, so we will just let this move go through. And now we're going to come in with Hawlucha, get an energy advantage, because honestly if they've got a counter to our backline then we're going to lose anyway, but they don't. They come in with Bastiodon. So I'm going to go straight for the Flying Press. This will easily grab a shield, and we'll also make it to a second Flying Press before this Bastiodon does make it to a charge move. So we go for it, we grab both shields very early on, and at this point I'm pretty confident that Galarian Zapdos will be able to take out their backline, as they came in with a Bastiodon up against a fighting type. So let's see, we come in with the Zapdos, the opponent gonna stay in and make it to another charge move, grabbing my shield, but I'm still feeling pretty good about this. They go for a flamethrower, the opponent comes in with Medicham now, and all I have to do is shield and then farm to 100 energy. I know it's just a Power Punch, but I might as well play it safe. We go for the Brave Bird, this will easily one-shot the Medicham, and then they come back in with Bastiodon, and close combat will also very comfortably take out this Bastiodon, and we take that game. So we do actually go 5-0 in this set. That was pretty rare for this team to actually do well, because you will see that a lot of teams have a Noctowl and also a Lanturn, and possibly also Medicham or Trevenant on their team. So yeah, that was a pretty fortunate set for us, but I thought I'd include it as it was a 5-0. But into the next battle, we see, of course, the opponent responding with a Noctowl. We're going to go for a Flying Press on the CMP tie with their Sky Attack, and Flying Press does grab a shield, so unfortunately not able to grab a shield advantage, but we do at least get one shield in this matchup, and we will be able to come in with the Dedenne and fully farm down this Noctowl. The opponent will make it to a last second Shadow Ball, but that's fine, we'll let it go through. Shadow Ball does some decent damage there, gonna swap into our Zapdos, sorry, and the opponent responds with Altaria, and that is not very good to see whatsoever. Altaria, another Pokemon that does very well up against both Zapdos and Hawlucha. We farm up to basically 100 energy, go for the Brave Bird, it barely doesn't take them out there, and they get a few more Dragon Breaths through, and unfortunately that puts us into range where they will be able to fast move Farmy down, and that is just pain, because Play Rough is definitely not going to take them out here, and Earthquake will easily one-shot Dedenne, and we do lose that game. But we kind of triple hard countered there, not an awful lot we could have done. That is the risk of playing an ABB team, is that there's always going to be an ABB team that does fully hard counter you. But into this game, we see Noctowl in the lead. The opponent swaps into Bastiodon, trying to catch a move here. So I'm going to shield, fully commit to counter farming them down. But unfortunately, they did bank a Sky Attack on their Noctowl. So if they choose to come back in with it, we're going to get off the close combat, but we won't make it to a second charge move. And I don't want to commit my second shield already. So I will let the Sky Attack go through, and I will come in with my Dedenne. We've got a lot of energy. We can go for a discharge here up against this Noctowl. The opponent does let it go through, and we do make it to a second discharge before they make it to a Shadow Ball. And this discharge actually grabs a shield here. So I'm thinking maybe they've got something like Medicham in the back. So I'm going to shield myself, and the opponent is going to stay in, allowing us to get... Whoops, my mic just fell there. Allowing us to get to another discharge, take them out, but they've got Trevenant in the back. I was not expecting that, but I'm able to catch the Seed Bomb as they get to the charge move, and that will be resisted. And now that's going to allow me to get to an Aerial Ace on the CMP tie with this Trevenant. And Aerial Ace is enough to take out the Trevenant and take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next battle, we see a Dragonite in the lead, and the opponent's going to safe swap into Galarian Stunfisk. We've got a great response here in Galarian Zapdos. They go for a Rock Slide. We can tank a second Rock Slide, but what I'm actually going to do is just go for the close combat here and basically force them to either use a shield or just take them out, and we do take them out, and we still got enough health where we should be able to make it to a second close combat, just barely up against this Dragonite, and this, even though it's resisted, actually grabs a shield up against the Dragonite. We've got the Dedenne to bring back in, and this is a very comfortable matchup. They come in with Registeel, and we are now just triple hard countering this opponent. So, like I said, if you run ABB teams, there is that chance that the opponent just has a triple hard counter to your team. And since we land the Flying Press already, I'm actually just going to let that go down. Dedenne does resist all the moves from this Registeel, but gonna go for that discharge straight away, take out the Registeel, and at this point, unless they are running Hyper Beam, then we should be very comfortable. And they go for a Dragon Claw. It doesn't do much damage, it's double resisted. We go for the discharge, even though it's neutral, a few more Thunder Shocks takes out that Dragonite, and we do take that game. Into the next battle, we see an Alolan Ninetales in the lead. Not very good. They're also running Charm, so I really want to get rid of this Ninetales as soon as possible. We go for a Discharge Bait here. The opponent does end up shielding, so that's amazing for me. And now we do make it to a Play Rough, but I didn't want to throw it on alignment. And now the opponent does actually throw a Charge Move just before I get to my Play Rough here. So going to go for it now, and I'm hoping they let us go through. But they do double shield their Charmer, and that is so much pain. Going to go for a Farm Down, but the opponent, excuse me there, swaps into Vigoroth, probably banking a Weather Ball, but I'm going to be able to shield once in this matchup and then fully counter farm down the Vigoroth and come out with so much loaded energy. So they go for the Body Slam. It does get me very low, but I will win the CMP tie if they come in with the Ninetales, which they do, and close combat will easily be enough to take out the Ninetales. They've got Medicham in the back. Unfortunately, we don't make it to a Brave Bird because of our lowered defense. Close combat is resisted. It doesn't do too much damage. We get to the Aerial Ace. We throw it on the CMP tie. Is it enough to take out Medicham? Yes, it is, and we take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next battle, we see a Buzzwole in the lead, so pretty good lead for us once again. The opponent is choosing to stay in here, and they swap and they try to catch a move on Galarian Stunfisk, but we can now swap into our Galarian Zapdos, and once again, very comfortable matchup here. Rock Slide doesn't quite do half of our health, and I'm actually going to let a second Rock Slide go through. And unfortunately, I don't think I can get able to farm them down. Maybe I could have. Maybe that's a mistake, but it doesn't really matter. We go for the close combat, take out the Stunfisk, and I'm going to go straight for another close combat. And have they been counting? No, they haven't, as they shield a resisted close combat. I can come in with the Dedenne. They do throw a move. We resist everything here, so that's fine. They go for Superpower. That does lower their own defense, and now I can go for a discharge and grab a shield. We swap into Hawlucha, and it does absolutely core break their team there as they come in with Bastiodon, and we take that game. So into the next battle, we're actually running Spinda now, as I started seeing a few more Trevenant and I was having a bit of trouble. So we're going to run Spinda, and hopefully we don't run into too many Psychic counter users. But unfortunately, the first game we see a Defense Form Deoxys. So not a very good start for us. Going to go for a Flying Press, and we do at least now live this second Psycho Boost, as it is double debuff. They eventually swap into Galarian Stunfisk. Very interesting play here. Gonna go for that flying press, grab a shield from the opponent, and we make it to a second flying press before they go for a rock slide. That's massive, and the opponent lets it go through. That does big damage. At this point, I'm gonna let the Hawlucha go down. They go for the rock slide there, and we should be able to come in with our Galarian Zapdos and get a full farm down here. Gonna have to let one rock slide go through, but we've seen already it doesn't do too much damage. And now they come in with defense form Deoxys. We go straight for a close combat. I really hope this KOs, and close combat barely doesn't take them out there, and that's super unfortunate. Oh, that's pain, because now we swap into Spinda. They've got Umbreon in the back, a Pokemon you don't see too much these days, but still a pretty good pick. And unfortunately, Spinda hitting for double resisted Psycho Cut damage. We can obviously debuff their attack, but these Icy Winds do absolutely nothing here, so it's not looking too good here. And this would have been a match where Dedenne would have been so much better, but it is what it is. When you change your teams, you know, you're basically just asking for the opponents to run Pokemon that were actually pretty bad up against the initial Pokemon you ran, but whatever. We swap there. We do actually simultaneously swap, and the opponent comes in with the Umbreon. They've now cleared the debuff. They foul play bait me, and now a last resort will actually be enough to take out the Zapdos. And yeah, we're not going to be winning this game, so I'm not going to throw here. Any charge move they throw, even if we debuff them, will take us out, and foul play does take out the Spinda, and we lose that game. So not very good from the Spinda there. But into the next battle, we see a Stunfisk that's marginally better than if I was running to Dedenne, but they come in with Noctowl, so it's not looking too good for us here. Gonna go for the flying press, and we do connect, and I'm going to shield in this matchup, as I want to grab a shield back from my opponent. Because at the end of the day, Galarian Zapdos is a lot more deadly when all shields are down on the opponent's end. The opponent actually gives me switch advantage. They now come in with Trevenant, and I'm going to go for the Aerial Ace. And they let it go through, so we're in a really good position now. I can come in with my Spinda, tank anything very comfortably, and then I'm just going to instantly swap into Zapdos. I assume they're going to swap into their Galarian Stunfisk, and I'm just going to fully commit to counter farming them down. Going to let this move go through. You can see my Zapdos there, easily able to tank a second rock slide as well, so I'm actually going to use no shields, and I will just be able to counter, farm down the Trevenant, and take that game. So, interesting play there, giving me switch advantage against that Noctowl. But into the next match, we see a Noctowl in the lead. And this is a matchup that we should be able to win with Spinda. We go for an Icy Wind. Honestly, it doesn't do too much damage. Spinda, not like the best Pokemon, really. It's a bit of a meme pick. But they go for a Sky Attack, and we should be able to get to another Icy Wind, throwing one turn late there just to make sure they don't try and make a catch, and they don't. And now we will live another Sky Attack from this range, and the opponent swaps into Medicham. We make it to a last second Icy Wind, and this will just make the matchup a lot more comfortable for our Hawlucha. So we're going to come in with it here, and the opponent does go for a charge move. We're going to shield it up, and it is the Psychic, so that probably, even with the debuff, probably would take us out. So I'm now going to go for an Aerial Ace up against this Medicham, and the opponent does let it go down. Now we're going to see the opponent does come in with a Lanturn, so not very good for us here. Going to go for the Flying Press, and I hope they allow me to get to a second Flying Press. And they do allow me to get there, but they don't throw, so it's not a CMP tie. They are very likely going to let it go through and then overfarm massively, and that's exactly what they do, so it's not looking too good for us here. They go for a Surf, it takes me out. I come in with the Galarian Zapdos, going to shield this up. And it is another Surf. They're going to go for a charge move. No, they don't get there. And can I get the farm down? Up against Noctowl. No, they barely make it to a final Sky Attack. And that does take out the Zapdos, and we do lose that game there. So unfortunately, that's one of the teams where all three Pokemon do technically beat my backline. So unfortunately, Spinda wasn't able to do an awful lot there to carry the team. Into the next battle, another Shadow Swampert. Seen it quite a few times in the lead here. Gonna let that go through. Go for an Icy Wind, and then I will swap into my Hawlucha. The opponent staying in initially. They then come in with a Noctowl, so So many darn Noctowls here to counter swap into Hawlucha, but I knew what I was signing up for when I decided to run this team. Gonna go for the flying press. We have a lot of energy. We grab a shield with the first flying press, and I think that's a CMP tie on the second one. And we grab both shields there, so that's amazing for us. Excuse that voice crack. But we grab both shields. Now we can come in with the Spinda here, and Icy Wind, we know it's not going to take them out, but we should get there on the CMP tie. And this does win CMP up against the Noctowl, so that's great. Icy Wind, basically going to put them into range where I can farm down with my Galarian Zapdos. So Sky Attack, actually they undercharge that fully, but we're still able to swap out and then get the farm down. And I'm actually going to shield here. I should be able to farm down the Swampert as well. And I am able to farm them down here. They come in with a Gust Pidgeot. Gonna farm up as much as possible, go for the Brave Bird, and this will easily one-shot the Pidgeot, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent. Into the next battle, we see a Medicham in the lead. Very unfortunate to see. They come in with Lanturn, and it's probably going to be a Noctowl in the back, so it's already not looking very good for us. I don't think there's an awful lot I can do here. We go for a Flying Press. The opponent overfarms, allowing me to get to a second Flying Press. And we do grab a shield here, but once again, they are just overfarming massively. They're going to come out with so much energy. No point in me shielding here. I can't flip this matchup. And now I come in with my Spinda, and they will make it to back-to-back Surfs in time. So I'm not going to throw an Icy Wind straight away. Also, not entirely sure an Icy Wind would take them out just yet. So I'm still not going to throw, as it won't make much of a difference. Gonna overfarm, get to nearly the back-to-back Icy Winds here. And Icy Wind does finally take out the Lanturn. We swap into Zapdos. They come in with Medicham, and we are going to overfarm massively here. Gonna shield this first move. It is an Ice Punch. Gonna keep on overfarming. They get to a second move. We have to shield the second Ice Punch as well. And the opponent does have that Noctowl in the back. Gonna go for a close combat bait. It's not gonna do as much damage as the Brave Bird. And we do grab the shield here. We get to the Brave Bird. Does this take them out? No, it doesn't. They're able to farm me down. And we will go down here to a Sky Attack against the Spinda here. And we do lose that game. So that is a pretty common team there, which unfortunately does just triple counter my backline. And into the last battle, we see a Tentacruel in the lead. They say swap into Deoxys, another Psychic counter user. It's not going very well for the Spinda so far. And we are going to let this move go through. We're actually going to debuff them a second time before we eventually swap out. They go for a Rock Slide there, not wanting to debuff their attack. But don't worry, we're going to debuff their attack for them. And now we come in with Hawlucha. We will live whatever they throw. They actually go for another Rock Slide, which is only neutral because of the part fighting typing, cancelling out the super effective damage that would go up against a flying type. They now come back in with Tentacruel, and it's not looking too good for us here. Gonna go for a Flying Press, and we do at least grab a shield, and we make it to a second Flying Press before they get the farm down here. They do let that go through. It does some decent damage considering it's resisted. I'm going to come in with my Zapdos here, as I expect they'll go straight for an Acid Spray. So I will let this go through. And it's actually a Scald. That's a massive misplay. I come in with Spinda, and now I don't make it to the Icy Wind either, and I'm just going to concede the match there. Very poorly played final battle, but we do lose that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you don't have access to either of these Pokemon, don't worry, you're not really missing out on too much. Unfortunately, the current Great League meta isn't too kind to them, but maybe if we do see slight nerfs to Lanturn and Noctowl in the future, they might be able to shine. But as of right now, they're just unfortunately not very good. But if you did enjoy today's video, then make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn on post notifications. Now, I will be pre-recording a few videos, so I won't be able to do shoutouts just yet, because obviously I do need to wait for those videos to go live to see what people are commenting. So I'm not going to be able to do shoutouts for my next couple of videos, but I will then shout out like from the question of the day from like the previous few videos all in one video. So do just watch out for that. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.